Coming up later today on CBS, our doubleheader game between Washington and Dallas, and that's a critical one for both those teams, but you know, especially for the Cowboys, because they must win to stay in the race in the NFC East. And they'll have to do it without their veteran quarterback, Danny White, who's out for the season with that fractured wrist. But as Ann Butler now tells us, the Cowboys are confident that White's young replacement is equal to the challenge.
Most of last season, Steve Pellure was an obscure backup until the second Giant game gave him his big chance. Lightning struck again this season when injuries to Danny White forced the Cowboys to turn again to Pellure. And now the young quarterback must shoulder the burden of leading Dallas into the playoffs.
On a team that's made greatness a part of its tradition, comparisons are going to be inevitable. Here, it's not enough to be just a great quarterback. Dallas is waiting for its next football legend.
The greatest Dallas legend was, of course, Roger Staubach, the artful Dodger who led the Cowboys to 4 Super Bowls. Steve Pellure has a long way to go to measure up to that achievement, but his scrambling style and dramatic feel for the big play has Dallas fans hoping they're watching a new version of their old hero.
Great quarterback. Does it remind you of anybody running?
Roger Staubach, to be very precise. You know, Roger had all those attributes. He's a leader. You know, Steve, one thing you can feel, Steve, he believes he can get it done.
Sometimes when I see him out there scrambling, making those big plays for those first downs, it does bring back some flashbacks of seeing Roger do those type of things to keep the drives going and keep everybody moving.
Yes, I did those things, and I see him in Steve, and from that aspect, the similarities are there. He's a running quarterback with that quiet leadership about him, and that's important for a quarterback to be able to lead your team and assert yourself when you have to.
Well, shoot, I mean, I watched Roger all through growing up, and that's a great compliment, but I think it's probably inevitable just to kind of compare the present quarterback with the legend.
There are similarities off the field as well. Like Staubach, Pellure is a devout Christian. Once a week, he hosts a Bible study at home after practice with friends and teammates.
I think I've just counted more on my Christian faith more than anything else, just to try and keep everything in perspective. And because I know the toughest thing for me is when everybody starts telling you you're good and you're doing a great job, that's when you get to be humbled the quickest.
Pellure's self-effacing manner impresses his boss, who looks for that certain cowboy image.
I like to see people with character, because they're the only ones that are going to pull you out of the valleys you get into, the people with character. And so we build on that quite heavily, and that's probably the reason I drafted him.
So the Cowboys have another quiet leader. But in his moments alone, Steve reflects on the pressure that comes with that challenge.
Well, Irv Cross is standing by in RFK. Irv, how are they going to protect Pellure today?
Well, a great deal of difficulty, Brent. They gave up 11 sacks last week, but really, they might bring in an extra tight end or keep an extra back in the backfield to protect him. They normally have 5 receivers out. They may only have 3 or 4 against the Washington Redskins. Last week, when Pellure was slacked 11 times, he told me that he had some problems picking up the blitz. Here you'll see one blitz. The San Diego Chargers coming from the outside here, and a defensive tackle coming right up the middle, breaking down his lineman and getting to Pellure. Now, he makes a couple of mistakes here, Brent. One, he should have called an audible when he saw the blitz, and he didn't do it. And secondly, when the play is run, it's a play-action pass. Look at this. He turns his back to the defense and therefore cannot see the on-rushing lineman. And when he does clear and he stands up, what's he going to see? Number 99 right in his face. He goes down for another sack. When I asked him why so many sacks occurred last week, he said there were 3 reasons. 1, occasional breakdowns with the offensive line. 2, poor play selection. And 3, I should have called audibles against the blitz. I learned my lesson, Irv, and it won't happen today. Brent.
Irv, I've got a good friend of yours right here, Mark Mosley. You never told me that you were his first coach in the NFL at Philadelphia.
Yeah, but I'm embarrassed to say that we brought in a fellow named Happy Feller, and Mark was cut from the club. He had Happy Feller on it. I don't know where Happy Feller is, but I know Mark Mosley's going to the Hall of Fame.
Thanks, Irv.
He started
that.
you off.
That's right. We started back in 1970 together. Irv was a player coach at that time.
All right.
Doing a good job.
Let's go back to the game you're enjoying now on CBS.
At halftime in Chicago, Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris with the Bears on top of the Packers, 9-0. CBS Sports coverage of NFL football continues after this message and a word from your local station.
Do you have any?
Coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by the Heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. Miller High Life. Miller made the American way since 1855. And by Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Never matters how far you go, Goodyear takes you home.
It has not been a pretty sight at Soldier Field in Chicago, but nobody expects things to be too pretty when the Bears and the Packers get together. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris awaiting the start of the second half of a 9-0 football game. The only points have been scored, Johnny, on 2 defensive plays, a safety by Dan Hampton and the block punt touchdown by Dennis Gentry. So it's been a strange kind of a game and a tough one.
It's been strictly a defensive battle. The Packers gained only 29 yards total for the entire first half. Now, the Bears weren't all that great either, 144 yards in total offense. So the Bears have committed 4 fumbles, which has kind of kept this game a little bit close.
Well, the Packers obviously in a 9-0 game, very much in it with 30 minutes to play. And the opening kickoff returned well up the sideline by Albert Watts to the 42-yard line of the Packers. Finally, they get some good field position. Calvin Thomas made the tackle. A 40-yard kickoff return. And Randy Wright finally gets to look into the other end of the field for a change. The most talked about incident in the press box area of the first half, this one where Jim McMahon, after releasing the ball, which turned into an interception by Green Bay, is hit by number 94 with a play well over and bulldog down onto his bad shoulder. Charles Martin ejected from the game. First down here in the second half produces a completion to James Lofton of the Packers. First down in Bears territory now at the 41. We alluded to some of the stats of an undistinguished first half offensively. There they are. And you can, in addition to turnovers, and fight started the Pack leading 2-1. Hopefully we won't have to document that for you in the second half. That's Gary Ellis running hard and has another Packer first down. Best run of the game by Green Bay. Gary Ellis, the veteran from Missouri. Gary Fensick made the stop.
Boy, did they get downfield in a hurry. They're already deep into Chicago Bear territory as Ellis has come on and kept his eyes open here as he got to the outside and then got the kick out block there by Ed West and goes up the field. They're down to the Bears' 30-yard line.
Randy Wright finally looking at some Chicago real estate. This is Ellerson running hard and breaking tackles for a gain of about 8. Bestie Jackson finally pulled him down, so Forrest Gregg has come out with 2 new running backs to start this second half, Gary Ellis and Gary Ellerson. Davis and Caruth had played all of the first half.
And I wonder what he said in at the halftime locker room meeting. He tried to get his troops back together after the Charles Martin incident, and they are moving with abandon right now.
2nd and 2. Ellis hit by Richard Dent. Got maybe a yard on a second effort, spinning off Dent, and then running into traffic at the line of scrimmage. Steve McMichael making the stop. And there'll be about a half-yard gain on it. It'll leave 3rd and a long yard for the Packers, who bring in a couple of new troops here. Caruth comes in.
Mark Lewis has come on.
And Greg Fiesel, number 77, has come in this short yardage situation in the offensive line. They had one too many guys, and Ellis leaves the field. Fiesel lines up as a tight end on the left side, and they messed it up. Randy Wright has to call timeout.
First charge timeout.
Bear in mind, Packer fans, if you're wondering about Dan Ross and you joined us late, that he came up this morning with a stomach ailment at the hotel, was taken to the hospital. We had no report on what they found, but they did not think surgery would be required. But Ross was unable to play today, and Ed West became the starter, so they're without him. And Charles Martin ejected in the first half. Let's take a timeout along with the Packers.
A unique situation here. Forrest Gregg and Mike Gifford, the opposing coaches, the only 2 players to play in a Super Bowl and coach in a Super Bowl. Mike won in his Super Bowl last year, and Forrest was a loser with Cincinnati, but he was in the Super Bowl.
3rd down and a long yard. Gary Ellerson, and it'll be close. It'll be close. He was tripped up behind the line. A diving second effort got him close, and there's another Bear down with an injury.
Otis Wilson, I believe, is down, and it looked like he hurt his knee.
We do note that Wilbur Marshall started this second half defensively. He had been injured, an apparent ankle injury back late in the first half, and now it's Wilson's turn to come up hurt, and also a Packer down. That's Mark Cannon. Cannon, the center, just back from an injury. Into the lineup last week for the first time in some time. A rough, tough game, as everybody expected.
And they both appear to be knee injuries, Otis Wilson and, well, Otis is reaching down to his ankle, so maybe it's the ankle. He did have a knee problem earlier in the season. So, pro football, a rough game, I'll tell you. I don't think I'd ever go down there again. For more reasons than one.
I've been wondering how you survived all the time you did. Well, Green Bay, we pointed out, has had such horrible field position in the first half. You can see that Randy Wright has had not much to look at except that one opportunity down at the 18-yard line of the Bears. But other than that, he has yet to start over his own 40-yard line until the second half. And bad things have happened, as you can see.
Wilson has come out of the game, so that means that Al Harris will come on for the Chicago Bears at one of the linebacker spots. Let's see if Swampy would be at center for Green Bay. Yes, Carl Swampy is now playing center for the Packers, and we have a fourth down and about a half a yard.
Caruth is the lead back. Ellerson has the ball. Diving and would appear to have it. Yes, he does. Fine job by Gary Ellerson, the second-year man from Wisconsin. Had some starts earlier in the year, but lost the starting job to rookie Ken Davis. Made a big play there. First down, Packers at the Bear 18.
And taking a look at the Bear defensive line, Ken Rutgers puts the block on Dent, and Ellerson comes up and over Dent, and then keeps his legs driving and gets the extra yard. Nice running by Ellerson.
And West out of bounds at the 5-yard line. The tight end from Auburn. Amazing what a little field position can do for an offense. Finally, Randy Wright getting a chance to start near midfield. Get something going here. A 13-yard gain. First and goal at the 5-yard line of the Bears.
Well, he had a one-on-one situation with Gary Fensick. Just dipped out to the outside. So the Bears have dominated this football game, but it could be a 2-point game here.
Packers without Philip Epps out with an injury. Charles Martin out with an ejection. A little short-manned at the moment. To the corner for Lofton, overthrown incomplete. The blitz on Wright, led by Marshall and Dave Dewerson. And they threw that little fade to the corner, and it gave Lofton no opportunity to catch it.
And one of the reasons that it was incomplete was that Marshall got through slick and clean, and he's coming on Wright, and Wright actually did a good job of just getting the ball away and overthrew Lofton in the end zone so that they'll have a few more shots at it.
Wilson has returned to the Bears defense. Harris comes out. Second and goal from the 5. Green Bay trailing 9-0. Early third period. Blitz for Stanley. Out of bounds or what? Down at the 1-yard line. A completed pass inbounds, but not in the end zone.
Did he have control? That's the question. They're ruling he had control.
First down, third down and goal at the 1-yard line.
And the Bears are disputing. They're saying that he did not have control of the ball when he went out.
Well, I'd say they have a fair dispute based on our replay. Did not appear like he did, and I hesitated to see where he was vis-a-vis the end zone and the sideline.
The pass is rolled incomplete. Incomplete.
And it will be an incomplete pass. Stanley actually made a rather good catch just to haul it in at all, but he couldn't quite get full possession and control and stay in bounds. He obviously was also trying to get into the end zone. So the youngster comes up empty. Forrest Gregg, you can see, doesn't agree.
Incomplete.
They haven't moved the football back yet. They still have the ball down at the 1-yard line.
And two of the officials are leaving the field, and
you know what that means.
Yes. Replay time at the replay booth.
There's Joe Gardy up there, the man on the right of your screen with his hand to the microphone. He is the replay official today. Ron Hallstrom offering his opinion.
Well, I happen to be one of those who believes in the instant replay booth. I think that of all the changes they've made, they've been to the plus side. In other words, bad calls that have been made good calls. On the technical aspect of it, the mechanics has not always gone well, but the concept, I think, is a good one. Now, look, watch his last leg now. He's now getting control, and I don't think he got both feet in with control.
No, I don't think so either, Johnny. We've now given them another look up there, and we have the usual delay on the field. They sort this out. Randy Wright trying to make some useful time as he talks to Forrest Gregg about what to call next.
After further review, the play stands incomplete.
Well, here's how things stand, and what you happen to like, Johnny, in the replay. 155 games, they've looked at 253 and turned 30 of them over.
So that means 30 plays that have been correctly changed, and that, to me, that's a plus for the NFL.
3rd and goal from the 5. Again, the fade and incomplete. Intended for Lofton. Bestie Jackson had the ball just hit him. Dave Dewerson had the rush on right again. And he didn't get much loft on that one. He didn't loft it to Lofton.
Well, he just had no time. It's just very difficult to throw when you're almost on your back, and the Bears just got right through up the middle and disrupted the entire play.
Del Greco will attempt the field goal for the first Green Bay points. He missed one earlier from 33 yards. This one will be spotted at the 13. It'll be a 23-yard attempt.
And if he misses this one, he'll probably head right out the tunnel and back to Green Bay.
He's right on the hash there, almost dead ahead. And he got it. So the Packers on the board with 10:47 remaining. In the 3rd period, they have cut the margin to just 6. The Bears 9, the Packers 3.
Share your Thanksgiving with John Madden and Pat Summerall as the Green Bay Packers take on the Detroit Lions. It all starts with the NFL Today Thanksgiving on CBS Sports.
Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris at Soldier Field in Chicago, where the Packers have gotten on the board with a 22-yard field goal by Al Del Greco to make it 9-3. The Bears on top. Del Greco will kick it off. The Packers to our left in white. Coming down at the 7-yard line, it's Dennis Gentry. Open field tackle and a dandy. That was Ken Davis, number 36. Well, a quick look graphically at what's happened so far today. The big incident in the first half labeled McMahon abuse, and it cost the Packers an ejection of nose tackle Charles Martin. A safety by Dan Hampton, a blocked punt by Sean Gale, a recovery in the end zone by Dennis Gentry, and then the field goal by Del Greco making it 9-3.
And I don't think Martin has heard the last of it. He'll probably get fined. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets suspended for a couple of games.
Oh, all right. 23-yard line, first down Bears. They come out of the I formation. Ortega in motion. Walter Payton. 6 or 7 for the veteran. Donnie Humphrey made the tackle. 30 yards on the day for... Oh, check it.
There is Donnie Humphrey right over the center, Jay Hilgenberg, and there's the collision, and Humphrey will play off that block and float down the line. The boy grabs that mask and gets in on the tackle of Walter Payton. Donnie Humphrey called on for extra duty today because of the Charles Martin incident.
33 yards of rushing for Payton on 8 carries so far. Payton for the first down, and he's got it to the 35-yard line.
Well, it appears the Bears are going to try and grind it out now and take it right down the field. Obviously, McMahon is not, you can tell that he's not 100% with his shoulder. He's not throwing, you know, he's not throwing badly, but he's not throwing well, doesn't quite have the zip on it. And, but they win, usually, when he plays 22 in a row that he started. The Chicago Bears have won.
Kurt Becker continues at left guard for Mark Borch, who did not return with a re-aggravation of an ankle injury he suffered last week. A flag down as Payton gets about 3 and then runs into David Greenwood, number 49, and a flag down that appeared to be early movement on the Bears' offensive right side. That is the preliminary signal from McBride, and I would pick Keith Van Horn as the culprit. Randy Scott talks it over with McBride since they had held Payton to about a 3-yard
Illegal
gain.
motion, number 87, offense, first down.
Well, it's Moorhead, not his tackle, Van Horn, who gets the call. Moorhead, the look on his face indicates that, who, me?
Have you ever seen somebody, even Charles Martin said, who, me?
Oh. Well, the Pack last week were playing the Buccaneers. That accounts for that number differential. First and 15 from the 30-yard line. Man for Gentry, incomplete. Mark Lee on the coverage. Gentry looking inside, the pass outside. And I think just more of your observations that McMahon just not sharp, and also, no doubt, still feeling the effects of that rotator cuff injury. As I said, he himself says he's only about 75% of his real throwing ability.
But he wanted to get back into action. The Bears are now trying to get in the groove for the playoffs, and McMahon obviously couldn't stay out for a couple, 3 months and then be anywhere near being sharp for the playoffs. So they've got to go with it as best they can and wait for the operation next year.
Man on 2nd and 15 gets lots of time, has a man complete, and then it's dropped by Willie Gall. Well, he's had 2 or 3 drops. There is a flag down. So when he's delivered the ball to an open receiver, he's had some drops. Ortego dropped one earlier in a similar play. This time Gall.
Going to go against the Chicago Bears, and the area of the flag, it might have been against a receiver.
Again, Mark Bright will talk it over with Scott. Mike Ditka working that gum about the normal rate for him in a 9-3 ball game.
Well, you can tell when he's mad when that chewing speeds up on the gum.
Pass interference, number 29, offense, penalty declined, third down.
So Gentry called for offensive pass interference. The pass went to Galt, who dropped it, but it would have gone for naught anyway.
Well, the Packers opted to put the Bears at 3rd and 15 rather than 2nd and 25. They didn't want to give them the extra down.
Now the Packers have Harris lined up in a down position and left defensive end. Expect the rush here. Inside to Payton. Payton's got some room on the corner. Cuts it upfield. Good reaction by Donnie Humphrey. And Greenwood slicing in there to get the low move on Payton, and Humphrey burying him from the top. Good defensive work by the Packers.
You're right, because it looked like that play was set up for big yardage around the end. The Bears had crossed him up with a couple of individual efforts, and Donnie Humphrey doing okay, and his surprise action.
Humphrey up to 300 pounds these days and showing it. Showed some remarkable speed. Buford's low punt takes a bare bounce, and Stanley is upset on a diving tackle. Neil Anderson, the rookie, with a great open field tackle. And again, some more altercation activity back upfield. We have 7:47 to play in the third period. The Bears on top 9-3. Doubleheader action today on CBS Sports NFL coverage. Most of you will see Dallas and Washington, big game in the NFC East. Atlanta, San Francisco, New Orleans at the Rams. Some of you will see those games, and that is all key action in the West. Philadelphia at Seattle. So still plenty of NFL excitement ahead this afternoon.
But the Chicago audience will not get that because this game, there was no blackout.
First down, Packers from their own 25-yard line. Play action on first down. Randy Wright is sacked. Steve McMichael. The charge led by Hampton, and McMichael gets the sack, and Wright gets up limping.
Okay, look for 76 and 99. McMichael is double teamed to the left of your screen. Hampton comes inside and flushes right out, right into the hands of number 76, Steve McMichael. So chalk up another sack. And it was really Hampton who started the situation. As you can see, he goes inside as they double team McMichael outside, and he is the one responsible for. He ought to get a third of that sack. They ought to share that. 2/3 for McMichael and maybe a third for Hampton, huh? How about that?
Well, Wright, meanwhile, looks like he may have twisted his ankle on the play. He has been bothered with an ankle this season. He's had a number of injuries. None of them have been real serious, and then he took that shot from Charles Mann of the Redskins that fell into the unforgivable category, and had a concussion. Came back gamely to play last week against Tampa Bay and had a fine afternoon, but it looks like he may have re-injured his ankle. Chuck Fusina warming up, number 4 on the sidelines, who had to come into that Washington game 2 weeks ago. It's going to be 2nd and 18 now for the Green Bay Packers from their own 16-yard line, and we'll have a new quarterback.
Excuse me, Fusina hasn't seen all that much action, and most of the passes he's thrown this year are in the short variety. Completed 19 for 178 yards, so that's not many yards per catch. So he's on the spot. Fusina got to come in against a defense like the Chicago Bears.
Here comes Chuck Fusina to give you some scores from around the league. Fusina 19 of 29. Signed out of the USFL. 4 years of NFL experience from Penn State. Ellerson, nice piece of running for a first down out to the 28. No, pardon me, back to the 28-yard line. They were 2nd and 18, so they still have 9 to go. But a fine run by Gary Ellerson. Dewerson and Fensick making the tackle. Ellerson running with some motivation, getting a chance here in the second half.
Well, he had a couple of bad games earlier in the season where he fumbled a lot, but he's come on the last couple of weeks, played a little bit better, and he's there really power back. He's got a little speed to go with the size that he has.
Third down, a long 6. But some breathing room for the new quarterback, Fusina. Tackled from behind by Richard Dent. He of the remarkable speed for a 255, 260-pound defensive end.
Actually, it appeared that the Packers got a break because the blitz came from the right side and they flushed Fusina out. He had time to run here, and his receivers didn't really come back to help him out. And Dent just turned on the speed, and for a big man, he can run, and that was a great example of it.
Bracken fields a low snap. Good job, and hits a line drive. Barnes from the 26. To the 43-yard line of the Bears. John Simmons made the tackle there. 5:53 remaining third quarter. A 48-yard punt. The Bears on top 9-3. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris. Third quarter action at Soldier Field. A tough defensive struggle, 9-3. All of the Bears' points coming on defensive plays. A field goal by Del Greco for Green Bay. Jim McMahon has gone the distance, not too effectively thus far. They have first down at their own 44-yard line. Peyton got about 2 before Brian Noble wrapped him up.
Brian Noble is so much more effective inside. When they moved him from outside to inside, he has really come on. He's making the majority of the tackles for Green Bay up the middle there. Big, tall linebacker who's more suited for inside. He's played a pretty good game today.
Yes, he looks like he's going to be one of those long-time, good, solid class linebackers. Brian Noble. Second down. Long 8. 4 to go in motion. Inside for Peyton, and it's Noble again. Randy Scott tripped him up, and Noble on his tail buried him after a gain of 3 more. It'll be third down and 5 at the 49 of Chicago. Barnes and Gentry come in, and the word on Randy Wright is a sprained ankle, and probably the same one that has bothered him in the past. They say he might get back into this game. I'm sure he wants to. He's a tough young competitor. Randy Wright trying to prove that he can be the #1 quarterback in perpetuity. 5 defensive backs in. McMahon, interception. Ball was tipped and picked off. Mark Lee. Donnie Humphrey, the man to get a hand on it. And Mark Lee comes up with his second interception of the day.
And the key there was that Tiger Green had covered Lou Barnes, who came back in motion. You'll see Tiger Green 23 covering on 81. McMahon is trying to hit Barnes there, and he's jammed up over the middle. So then he adjusts his pass, and it wasn't a very good pass. It had no zip on it. In fact, it was a wobbly duck, and Mark Lee comes up with his 6th pass interception of the season, and the Packers create another turnover. The Bears have been really hurt by turnovers today.
On first down, Randy Wright just off the fingertips of James Lofton. Well, as we expected, a game Randy Wright got himself right back in there and nearly connected with Lofton for a long while.
Well, the Packers did what you're supposed to do. You create a big turnover like that, you try and strike quickly, and Lofton had a couple of steps, but the pass was a little bit overthrown, but right back in the lineup.
Second and 10. Wright tries the sideline again to Lofton, and he can't hold on. Bestie Jackson again on the coverage. Fensick came over to help. The ball looked like it popped in and out of Lofton's hands.
Fensick comes in there with a late hit, but he can legally claim he wasn't sure if he had caught the ball or not. You'll see 45, but Bestie Jackson with the push-off. The timing was really off on the pass. He didn't look back for that ball, but here comes Fensick, 45. Boom.
Now on the third down situation, what they've started this week, Fensick comes out, Gale and Todd Bell come in. Otis Wilson goes out along with Fensick, and Fensick saying, well, if they're talking about speed, I can't argue with it. I still think I could play every down, but Vince Tobin wants to have the faster players on the passing down. Randy Wright tried a little basketball push pass out to Ellerson, with McMichael already having a pretty good grip on him. Great effort by Wright.
McMichael was calling for the sack there. He's number 76 as the Bears put the blitz on here. He comes on the twist, and you can see Wright goes out, and McMichael says, I had him. Give me another sack. He tried the old basketball pass there and couldn't get enough zip on it. The Bears hold, Green Bay punts.
Bracken at his own 30-yard line. Lou Barnes waiting for it at the Bears 15. Big punt by Bracken. Wind aided. Goes through the end zone and will be a touchback. 55-yarder for Bracken. And we have 3:59 remaining in the third quarter. Still a 9-3 football game. Jim McMahon will try to spark something here. Offense has not been in the forefront.
I have an idea they're going to try and grind it out now, Tim. I think obviously it's cold. McMahon's arm is not 100%. They'll throw if they have to. I just don't think they're going to come out throwing. I think they're going to try and grind it out. And here they go. They'll start throwing the ball. Short, though.
With a screen for Payton. Well broken down, the blocking. Number 93, Robert Brown, got over there before the blockers could even set up. Gave Payton nowhere to go. There'll be a loss of a yard. Robert Brown, number 93, excellent play.
We talk about the Bear defense. The Packer defense, you know, has played a darn good football game. I mean, they're down, they're trailing, but if you stop to think of the points, how they were scored, Packers have given up a few more yards, but they have overall played very well.
Absolutely stuffed the Bears offense. Chicago offensively has done nothing. And 7 of 23. Calvin Thomas, he's hit immediately. Brian Noble with an ankle tackle. The Packers are just smelling these screens, and they're getting there before the play gets developed at all.
Well, obviously the Packers have keyed on the fact that they don't think McMahon can throw down the field. So they're expecting the short passes, the screen passes, the stuff over the middle, and they're playing that. And unless they think, if they don't think that Willie Golfey runs 45, 50 yards and McMahon can't get it to him, they're not going to worry about it that much. So you have more people covering short and one-on-one coverage for the wideouts downfield.
Greenwood and Albert Watts in defensively for the Packers on the 3rd and 14. Man going deep, he's got Gentry.
They didn't think McMahon could throw down the field. He threw that one right on target, and it went about 45 yards in the air.
Let's see it again, all the way down to the 41-yard line of the Pack.
Nice protection for McMahon, and he just put it up and over, because he was fairly well covered by Watts, but the ball came up over the top, and Gentry made the grab. Big play for Chicago. And that's something that can loosen up the Packers, so the short stuff may work a little bit better now, because McMahon can throw if you give him the time. You know, it didn't have a big zing on the ball, but it got there.
First down in Packer territory. Well, I tell you, courage he does not lack. Carricker and Harris made the tackle on him, rolled out trying to find somebody downfield, saw the run opportunity and went for it. You know, he does the things that you least expect. There he makes that big long pass just when we're speculating that maybe he can't get it downfield. You can't count him out of anything.
No,
and 60 yards make him the leading rusher in this football game.
And that figures out the 12 yards per carry. That's not too shabby.
He's irrepressible. And whatever difficulties that he presents, to my recollection, has never done anything with any real venom or malice. He's a fun guy. He likes to have fun. He wants to be himself. He doesn't want to be afraid to express himself. And when he plays, they win.
Well, the team likes it better when he expresses himself on the field. And that's what he's doing right now, mostly with his running ability. As you look at some of the scores, New England is leading. Look at Pittsburgh, Cleveland, 28-28. Houston, big lead over Indianapolis. And the Giants on top of Denver, third quarter.
Well, that makes that upcoming game here on CBS all the more interesting. Dallas and Washington next. Most of you will see Thomas trying for the first down, and it'll be close. Calvin Thomas running into a human wall, and some little extra going on again.
Brian Noble, I think, is upset at Calvin Thomas.
I think Thomas threw the ball at him, and apparently Thomas trying to get up, somebody holding him down. They're all just letting their emotions run a little wild here in this game. Let's see where they mark the ball. It's right on the 33-yard line, and that will be a first down, Chicago. 1 minute remaining, third period. Bears on the march, finally, at the 33-yard line. Packers have been able to stop them completely throughout this game. For Galt, and it is intercepted but out of bounds. Mark Lee was over the end line. McMahon just chucked that as far as he could, trying to let Galt run under it.
There were a whole bunch of Packers down there, and you're right. McMahon just aired it out. He had time and decided, hey, I'm going to go for it, and he threw it as far as he could. There was absolutely no pressure on him. So he just heaved it down there, a little off balance, and you can see the Packers were waiting for Galt. Three of them, in fact. 1 foot, looked like both feet. It's a good call.
Mark Lee.
He says no good. No, it's out of bounds. He's animated, isn't he?
Involved. 2nd and 10. Inside the 30-yard line. Picks up 5. Scott and Tim Harris on the tackle. Time winding down here in the third quarter. And they'll let it run out. So at the end of the third quarter, the score, the Chicago Bears 9, Green Bay 3. We now pause for a word from your local station.
This is CBS. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Miller Genuine Draft, cold filtered for real draft smoothness. It's beer at its best. Toyota, builder of tough, powerful, reliable trucks, Toyota. And by Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics store.
Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris, and we're at Soldier Field, where the sellout crowd enjoying the tough battle, the expected one. Remember, it was 12-10 into the fourth quarter, the first time these two teams met this season, and then the Bears went on to open it up and win it 25-12. McMahon on third down, incomplete. Intended for Ortego, and McMahon, another shot just as the ball was released. A flag down on the play. Back at the line of scrimmage.
Well, he had Bobby Leopold bearing down on him, and McMahon kind of flicked it.
We have 2 fouls on the play. We have illegal hands to the face, number 79 offense. We have illegal hands, number 22 defense. Penalties offset. Third down again.
Kurt Becker at the line of scrimmage. Mark Lee downfield, both with handy no-nos.
It's a break for the Bears, actually, because of the incompleted pass. But here's McMahon, and you can see Leopold is bearing down on him, and boom, puts the hit on him. So he kind of flicked it side arm and came down on the shoulder. This gives you right into your front room the perspective of Leopold. Boom, right there.
Interesting talking to Leopold yesterday about facing Walter Payton what do you fear most? He said, that straight arm. I don't want to have him in the open field embarrassing me with a straight arm. Third down. Man trying to find a man open. Lofts it to Payton, and is he inbounds?
No.
No. Out of bounds. Brings up fourth down right along the sidelines, but no question he was out when he came down to the ball.
So now the decision as to the field goal, and Kevin Butler is coming out on the field. He missed his final 3 field goal attempts last week against Atlanta after having made 18 in a row.
So he's 21 of 30 on the season, still pretty good. Long and 52 to his credit, so that 46 is in his range. The wind is behind him, which can be good and bad from this distance. Fuller to hold, and he hooks it left. So the Bears come up empty with 14:42 remaining in regulation time. The Packers still very much in this football game. 9-3, and Forrest Gregg says, hey, that's just fine. A converted touchdown puts us in the lead here. And Green Bay with a short week. They'll be right back in action on Thursday. One of the reasons Forrest Gregg said he signed another quarterback, Joe Shield, the way things are going for them. They take on the Detroit Lions, a 15th Thanksgiving Day meeting between those old rivals at Detroit Silverdome. We'll have it for you here on CBS, 12 noon Eastern time. Ellerson for a couple. Singletary makes the stop. 2nd and 8. Gary Ellerson, number 42.
Nice job by Singletary. He's, of course, the leader of the defense, and he's the only one that had the shot at Ellerson. The rest of the line had created a gap in there, and he shot that gap and met that running back head on. And you know how he does when he meets him head on. He stops him.
2nd and 7. Ivory comes in, and Ellerson goes out. Sideline for Lofton. Again, the pressure on Wright, forcing him to throw the ball early. Singletary leading the charge.
And there shouldn't be pressure on that kind of a pass. That's just a quick drop back pass. Lofton goes down and out very quickly. It's a 3-step pass. They put the blitz on, and it still should have been completed. The pressure wasn't all that great there. He just misfired the pass.
Protection looked to be pretty good, but
yes,
they're coming at him, and I think, you know, he's just seems like he's a little eager to unload that ball, which is understandable.
Well, he knows they're all around, but you've got to know how close they are. That time there was no excuse. But he's down there. We're up here, huh?
6 and 23, Randy Wright's been a nightmare out there for him today.
Blitz.
Nice move by Wright, complete to the tight end West. And he has first down yardage. Wright showing fine composure on that play. Right now, let's take you to New York and Brent Musburger for an NFL update.
Well, Tim, we've had another successful debut by a quarterback. Chuck Long, the former Iowa star. A touchdown pass. That's his first passing attempt. Leonard Thompson's second score of the day, 38-17. Tim, Chuck Long probably thinks this is an easy game. Let's go back to Chicago.
Yeah, that's a nice way to start, kind of like Everett did last week for the Rams. So you'll see Chuck Long Thursday. The Lions and the Packers here on CBS. First down, Green Bay. Ken Davis gets about 2. Flag down on the play. Dan Hampton made the stop. And a holding call against the Packers. That Detroit-Tampa Bay game, a
number
final.
67, offense, first down.
Lions 38-17, and that improves their record to 5-7.
They called that penalty on Swanky. He's playing at the center spot. He's played about every offensive line position the Packers have.
Tremendously valuable man. Cannon been out with injuries. He's been playing center, and Cannon left the game hurt.
no blitz.
Wright's got a man. West. Great diving catch by Ed West with 3 Bears on him. He knew he was going to have to take the fall, but he came down with the ball.
Nice touch by Randy Wright, because there were 3 Bears and he had to get the ball up and over. No blitz, so he had a little bit more time. You see Singletary chasing. Pensick comes into the picture, and Dave Dewerson, and Ed West did the job that he's got to do, and that's to concentrate on that ball.
Ed West getting the start for the ill Dan Ross. Missing the game with a stomach ailment. First down, Green Bay at the 42 of Chicago. A 6-point game. Lots of time remaining. Ellerson. Nowhere to go, and Dave Dewerson drops him for a 2-yard loss. What a year that guy's having.
Oh, he made the Pro Bowl last year. He's got all kinds of interceptions this year, and it's ironic because Ellis got his block on that play. It should have been a successful play, but it shows a pursuit by the Chicago Bears, because Ellis blocked Otis Wilson and had him down, yet there was no place to run.
Dewerson's numbers into the game: 72 tackles, 5 sacks, 6 interceptions. Pro Bowl material. 2nd and 12, Packers. Draw play. No, good fake. West again. West got about 8, maybe 9 yards. It'll still leave 3rd and about 5. Singletary on the tackle. I like the fake a lot. I thought he had handed it off. 3rd down and 5. That's been quite a struggle. Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Houston beating up on Indianapolis. The Giants in Denver. Giants up 16-9 on Denver, leading the West at 9-2, and the Giants at 9-2 in the NFC East. Dallas, Washington later here on CBS. Blitz. Sack. 5 sacks today for the Bears. Hampton gets the credit.
He got there first, but there was a whole bunch of other Bears coming. As you can see, the linebackers, you see Wilbur Marshall, they tie up some of these blocks. There just aren't enough men for everybody to pick up. Singletary comes around the other way, and Hampton was really the guy on it. He deserves most of the credit, but the whole defensive line was in there.
So Bracken will punt again, and that's nearly blocked by Sean Gale. A high punt that only goes about 10 yards from the line of scrimmage, maybe 11 or 12. And it'll be excellent field position for the Bears when we return. Tim Ryan, Johnny Morris, Soldier Field, Chicago. Gray, cloudy skies setting the mood for a rough, tough battle, as usual, between the Packers and the Bears. And the game has been highlighted by a lot of rough stuff. The worst of it when McMahon was dropped by Charles Martin unceremoniously, leading to Martin's ejection. A safety, a block punt, leading to the Bears' only points. A field goal for Green Bay. Whistles everywhere as the pass was completed, flags, etc. McMahon 9 of 27 on the day for just 67 yards and has had 3 interceptions.
Ball start, number 74, offense, first down.
Jim Covert charged with a false start.
You know, we haven't seen much of Matt Suey this second half. Calvin Thomas has been getting most of the play. I don't know if he got hurt, but he usually shares it pretty much with Calvin Thomas. The Bears now into a passing situation, but I'll bet they don't pass this time. I'm probably wrong.
1st and 15.
Out of the eye? No?
Willie Goff gets about 10 to the 35-yard line. Brian Noble and Mark Lee make the tackle for Green Bay. It'll leave 3rd and a long 4.
Willie Galt, who wears very little equipment. He has no hip pads, doesn't wear any kind of rib pads, and real shoes that weigh about an ounce. He wears the least amount of equipment that anybody on the Bears wears. He's going to go back into track and field. He hasn't even ruled out maybe trying for the Olympics, much to the chagrin of Mike Ditka.
It was second down and 4. Allow me to correct it. Down, second and 4. Man sidearms it to Galt. He's got it. Dandy catch by Willie Galt. Mark Lee with the hit as the ball arrived, but Galt held on for a first down.
Well, Lee is playing off, and the Bears have decided they're going to take some advantage of it as McMahon eyes him all the way. You know what's coming. And Galt takes it and then takes the hit. Did you notice how open Peyton was in the short zone, too?
I also noticed the passing motion by McMahon that time is certainly not his normal employ. First and 10. Really slung that one, intended for Calvin Thomas.
That was a sidearm throw. He actually threw that sidearm, and Calvin Thomas was open over the middle for big yardage, but he stopped. He hesitated a second, and McMahon thought he was going to keep going. So there was a little bit of a miscommunication between Calvin Thomas and Jim McMahon.
It'll be second down, Bears, from their own 47. Mike Ditka evidently going the distance with McMahon so long as they're on top of this game. 9-3. 9:53 remaining to play. And 11 of 30. Good catch by Tim Reitman. Gain of 7. Greenwood and Scott on the coverage made the tackle.
Well, Tim Reitman, the former UCLA star, USFL, you notice he's got his gloves on. He's getting used to Chicago, but he says, I want gloves. He said, this is cold weather.
See, most of the receivers, virtually all of them, wearing the gloves now, those kind of tacky scuba type.
But even
gloves.
when it's 40 or 45,
yeah.
you think
Well, you're the receiver. What do you think?
Well, I'm surprised that Mike Ditka even lets him wear them.
Third down and 4. Going deep. Willie Galt, and who's got it? Nobody. Double coverage on Galt by Mossy Cade and Ken Stills. And they broke it up. Pass was right on the money. I mean, McMahon will look horrible on a couple, and then he'll throw one deep right on the money.
Well, the key here was that Stills got over 2 and helped out in the coverage 29 and jolts into everybody. And so you had 4 hands against 2 hands, and most of the time it's not going to be completed. Good coverage by the Packers, despite a good pattern and a good pass.
Maury Buford, the punter, 3 punts today. 44-yard average, has the wind with him. Walter Stanley waiting for it at 10. That one hangs up. Bounces upfield and down by the Bears. So they'll get about a +2 there as they mark it at the 22-yard line. Randy Wright gets his instructions for this series. And again, some conversation, a little extra pushing and shoving, especially the defensive backs of the Packers. 8:47 to go.
The Rams, powered by Eric Dickerson, the NFL's hottest running back, take on the Jets, fueled by Ken O'Brien, the NFL's hottest quarterback. An offensive showdown next Sunday on CBS Sports.
Forrest Gregg and all of the Packers and their fans are fully cognizant of the fact that it's a 6-point game. And while neither team has been able to do anything offensively, with 8:47 to go, his team can still win it. Gary Ellis pounds his way for about 7. Despite the fine defensive work by both teams and a lackluster offensive display, we've got a 6-point game. That means really one big play can turn it around in favor of Green Bay.
And the Packers are moving a little bit better here in this second half. And you know, I don't think it was any secret that Mike Ditka and Forrest Craig didn't get along all too well before this game. And after the Martin incident, I imagine they're less friendly than they were coming in, if they were friendly at all.
Ditka was out there on the field when that incident occurred. Here's Gary Ellis bouncing off tacklers. Biggest play of the game offensively by the Packers to the Bear 46-yard line. Gary Ellis.
And you were just talking about it a moment ago, some kind of a big play, and boom, all of a sudden we have a game that could really turn around. It's that close, even though it appears that the Bears have dominated, and Ellis does a good job of bouncing off the tackle and getting knocked out of bounds. They're in Chicago Bear territory.
Well, they've dominated defensively, but they certainly haven't dominated offensively. That's been about a draw. Even though the numbers favor the Bears. First down. Wright steps up. He's got a man open. West. Touchdown. Well, I hate to say I told you so, but that's exactly what could and did happen. Well, West with a big bomb from Wright. Wright injured on the play, took a shot from Perry just after he released the ball, or as he's releasing it. Let's see it.
Well, it was a great play by Wright under pressure. He had the choice. He could have run down the field. Look at the open spaces down there. And then he just tells West to go on, and he threw the ball as far as he could. He was behind Dave Duerson and made sure the catch fell into the end zone. And the Green Bay Packers have taken the lead as they're taking Randy Wright off the field. And here's the hit that Wright took. He could sense the refrigerator coming, and boy, did William Perry lay the wood to Randy Wright. So both quarterbacks have been jolted, but Perry's is a legal hit, and he really did hit him. Give some credit to Randy Wright, though. Standing up under the pressure, and he got hurt once before. Now he's back out of the game, but the Packers have the lead.
It may be that ankle that, as we commented on earlier, he has been bothered with for the past several weeks, and getting assistance from his teammates. But a gutty display by Randy Wright, coming up with the first offensive touchdown of the game.
And, you know, I think this time he's out for good. It looks like it's so tender that I would doubt that he would be back in the game this time.
7:49 remains. The extra point will put the Packers in front. Al Del Greco, the man responsible for the go-ahead point. Ed West, a 46-yard touchdown.
The play stands. Touchdown.
After final review.
What were they reviewing? Whether he was over the line of scrimmage or something?
Well, evidently that was the question, that whether Randy Wright was over the line.
It looked like he was a couple yards behind the line of scrimmage, as far as I could see.
Likewise, it didn't even occur to me because he seemed to be in quite good position. Washington has taken the early lead over Dallas. Many of you will be going there after this game. Del Greco, and he's got it. Green Bay has taken the lead for the first time today with 7:49 to play. Regulation time. Randy Wright to Ed West, and Del Greco's point after.
All right, welcome back to New York. Now, let me update the situation with Dallas and Washington. The Redskins have scored, and it was George Rogers thundering in for the game's first touchdown. This is from 14 yards out, his 15th touchdown of the season, and many of you will be going to join that game just as soon as we finish with the last 7:49. Meanwhile, Thanksgiving Day here on CBS, and it will be these Green Bay Packers. They will be taking on the Detroit Lions. That'll start with the NFL today at noon on Thanksgiving. Let's go back to Soldier Field. Here's Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris. Tim?
All right, Brent. Well, we've seen the Green Bay Packers make the big play. They've taken the lead here. A strange football game. Lots of silly nonsense going on. Some of it expected, the hard hitting of the Packers, Johnny, but you got to credit Randy Wright.
Yes, he stuck in there. And, you know, what really made that play for the Packers was that Randy Wright was flushed out. And that broke the coverage for the Bears, and West was able to keep on going and get behind the coverage, and then Wright made the great play.
Dennis Gentry with Del Greco's kickoff. hard running over the 35-yard line to the 37 of Chicago. Ed Berry made the stop. Well, you probably saw moments ago the score in the Dallas-Washington game, so it is underway. Most of you will be going to that one. Some of you will see Atlanta at San Francisco, New Orleans at the Rams, and the Eagles at Seattle. Everywhere except in Chicago, there is more NFL action ahead today. Mike Tomczak has come in at quarterback for the Chicago Bears as they are down 10-9. And it may be that Mike Ditka simply decided that McMahon, now that they will need to throw the ball, is not throwing it well enough today. Peyton. To the Packer 47. First down. Ken Stills on the stop.
We have not received any word from the bench as to whether he had any specific injury. I think it's just a case of the shoulder. He just can't throw the way he wants to, and Mike feels that they have a better shot bringing Tomczak in.
Peyton, 65 yards on 13 carries. He'll have himself another 1,000-yard season. Gone, almost intercepted. Mark Lee has got 2 already, nearly had a third. Willie Golf did an excellent job of breaking up the intercept.
They were going to go with the short hitch pass, but you'll see Mark Lee comes up tight and ruins the timing, and Tomczak decided not to throw to him. See how tight he is? So then Galt just turns around and heads up the field, and you know, just give Mark Lee some great credit there. He came up, jammed up the short pass, and then reacted and almost had himself an interception.
2nd and 10. Mike Tomczak, the second-year man from Ohio State, who's had to fill in for the injured Jim McMahon. He's passed 3 games, taking the number 2 spot away from Steve Fuller. Gets it off to Suey. Good defensive play by the Packers. First man to hit a Mark Lee, and then Brian Noble able to get a hold of Suey before he moved upfield. A pickup of maybe 3 yards. 3rd and 7.
Noble's all over the place, isn't he? He is having one heck of a football game. And last year he had a real bad football game against the Bears. He must have missed Walter Payton 8 or 9 times on tackles. But not this year. He is doing a super job. Key play for the Bears right here. 3rd down and about 7.
Albert Watts comes in. Ezra Johnson comes in. Don't forget the Packers without 2 starters. Dan Ross at tight end, and on the nose Charles Martin was thrown out after dropping man illegally. Tomczak gets lots of time, and in and out of the hands of Lou Barnes. Barnes had the first down yardage, couldn't hold on to the ball. Tiger Green on the coverage. It'll be 4th down. Well, now with 6:33 remaining, the Packers will have the ball again. You almost expect that the Bears defense, if this game is to be won by Chicago, will have to do the winning. They've got all the points. Chicago has scored today.
Well, the situation of the game has come down to the fact that now, if the Packers gain control here and don't blow the punt, their destiny is in their own hands. If they can move the ball and control it, they can win this football game.
Will it be Fusina or Wright? We'll find out. Short punt out of bounds, way upfield. They're going to spot it at about the 27 or 28-yard line. Let's see, the 30. So good field position for Green Bay, something they have not had much of. A 14-yard punt by Buford. Well, these Green Bay Packers will have to get it all together for Thanksgiving Day, the traditional game. Thursday here on CBS at Detroit, the 15th meeting on Thanksgiving Day, a holiday tradition. Randy Wright will be back in at quarterback, we hope, and it could be James Jones getting it from Chuck Long of the Lions. There's Randy Wright to Lofton, their combination, and it's Randy Wright out here now, but he will be in action Thursday afternoon against the Detroit Lions here on CBS. Ellerson, loose ball. Bears have it. Duerson with a fumble recovery.
Gary Ellerson hit by the fumble bugaboo again. He comes into the line. It's jammed, but can't tell who jammed it loose. It looked like Singletary got the hit on it, and the ball was bobbling around, and it was number 22, Dave Duerson, who fell on it, and the Bears have the ball in Green Bay territory, and a Packer is down on the field. Dave Duerson.
Well, Randy Wright answered the bell. That it's Ellerson, the injured player. He took that shot from Singletary that pried the ball loose. What a gritty display by Randy Wright, as he has twice had an ankle injury today and has come back each time, but unfortunately for him and the Packers, Ellerson unable to hold on. Now let's take this opportunity to remind you about our college football activity. As we mentioned, our Thanksgiving Day game in the NFL, college football Friday features an ACC matchup. Maryland, the Terrapins against the Cavaliers of Virginia. Young Danny Henning, the quarterback for Maryland. And on Saturday, the traditional college rivalry, Notre Dame and USC, live at 3:30 Eastern Time. The bowl-bound Trojans. And then Sunday afternoon, we're back to the NFL action, doubleheader action again, and what a dandy to open the day. The Rams at the Jets, and some of you will see the Redskins at St. Louis. Big game for the Rams and Washington, both of those games that afternoon. And doubleheader games, Philadelphia at the Raiders or Atlanta at Miami. Atlanta still in the playoff picture in the NFC West.
I'd say there's a lot of football coming up on CBS,
You're
wouldn't you?
not kidding. You're going to have your fistful. Now, the Redskins are underway against Dallas. We'll be going to that game for most of you. The Giants, 9-2, were leading Denver, the last report we had. Dallas at 7-4, so quite a scramble there. And in the NFC West, the best battle for playoff spots, the Rams, the 49ers right behind them, surprising New Orleans, and Atlanta still in it. So those games this coming weekend, and indeed later today, can very much affect the playoff picture. And look at this, the Broncos have come back against the Giants. The Giants and Denver and Chicago and Washington all at 9-2. The Jets at 10-1 with the best record. Redskins leading Dallas. Will be going there. All right. Ellerson has been attended to. The Bears have the football. Payton gets about 3 to the 31-yard line. 6-11 and counting. Noble made the tackle.
Walter Payton, an interesting guy, he's had these injuries. He had the dislocated toe. Most players wouldn't have played the next week. He took no medication, no Novocaine, no cortisone. He says that he mentally blocks out those injuries, and he says, I'm like back in the old days when the Indians had to walk on red coals, hot coals. He does that. He doesn't let an injury affect him at all.
2nd and 8. Reitman for 5. Open field tackle by Randy Scott. And Reitman unhappy that he didn't get to the marker. But it was a good defensive reaction by Randy Scott.
Well, Reitman bobbled a little bit, so he wasn't able to get himself in stride. And what we're boiling down to is that if the Bears don't make the first down here, it'll be Kevin Butler coming out, and he's on a streak of missing 4 in a row. So you talk about a young man who might be under some severe pressure here in a moment.
And he missed in this direction. The swirling wind at Soldier Field appears to be blowing into the face of the passers and kickers of the Chicago Bears. Payton, first down.
Walter Payton gradually inching towards that 100-yard marker as you see a final score here. Cincinnati 24, the Minnesota Vikings 20. So that pretty much, if the Bears win this, they'll pretty much eliminate the Vikings as far as the division title is concerned.
Vikings fall to 6-6. Tomczak complete to Reitman, nowhere to go as Harris, the rookie, right on him. Tim Harris. And you pressed old Tim yesterday about the fact he wasn't a sports fan. He said, "Yeah, you're a football player. What do you mean not a sports fan?" He says, "I like to play him. I don't want to watch him."
That's right. He says he doesn't watch any sport. Baseball, hockey, boxing. He didn't even know that Mike Tyson was fighting Trevor Burbage last night. Now, everybody knew that.
Well, yeah, I think Charles Martin might have been inspired by him today. Certainly a lot of these players came out here ready for pro boxing careers. 2nd and 10. Gain of, I'll call it a half yard. 2nd and 9.5. Good defensive reaction by Harris. Peyton, the main man, as always, battles for about 5. Leopold and Greenwood combined to stop him.
Boy, did he take his shots there. He went by 3 tacklers, and each one of them got a shot on him. He's amazing. He's an amazing specimen. You're going to see Noble will miss him from the backside. Then he's going to get hit by Leopold. Then he's going to get hit by Noble. They're all taking their shots at him.
3rd down and 4. The word on Gary Ellerson. The play on which he fumbled, he suffered a pinched nerve and will not return to this game. A lot of players leaving the field of battle wounded. Tomczak sails up the fade, but out of bounds, intended for Willie Gump. Brings up 4th down.
Oh, Mike Ditka didn't like the way things happened there, but now it's on to the next play. The man of the hour, of the moment, Kevin Butler. As Tomczak explains what's wrong there. He may have called an audible there, a checkoff to Willie Gault, and Mike Ditka probably feels that the play that it was originally called, I'm speculating now, that you got to call it, that he didn't want that play called.
Well, that is evident. He didn't have his clipboard to throw. He was looking around for it. He is an unhappy coach, Butler. Now
he's not, and Ditka's not even watching.
From the 23-yard line, 33-yard attempt to send the Bears in front, and he does. But a flag down and some extra action again.
Kevin Butler comes through. We'll see what the penalty situation is.
The signal is roughing the kicker.
Looked like he was blocked in. That was Tiger Green there, but it looked like somebody had knocked him off balance as he came in. And if he is blocked, then you can't. Well, there, now, the extended play there, you might get something, but I think he was blocked in.
Number 23 was pushed into the kicker. No foul. Field goal is good.
Well, he wasn't pushed very hard, but it looked like somebody got an arm on him, kind of tripped him up there. It becomes a moot point as far as the field goal is concerned. They made the field goal, but Mike Ditka, I can tell you, was at the other end of the field, 30-yard line, walking away and not with his back turned to the field of action.
Well, you can see that he's fighting his emotions here, but his team is on top with 2:37 to play, 12-10. Would have been an interesting situation had they had a penalty and taken the opportunity to take the points off the board. 12-10, 2:37 to go. You'd probably just say your defense can stop Green Bay and keep the field goal, but they would have been in a choice position there had they taken the points off, had the penalty stood. I was wondering whether Coach Ditka would have gone in that direction or not. We won't know.
At any rate, he's still upset. The Bears are ahead 12-10, but he knows that a field goal can beat him, whereas he obviously felt that they wanted to get the touchdown, and there's still enough time. One big play can do it, as we saw in the last Green Bay touchdown.
Yes, this is a long way from being over. 2:37 to go. Butler will kick it off. Line drive, fielded at the 15. Kenneth Davis. Pretty good field position for the Packers. At their 34-yard line, 2:28 remains. Well, the final, the Giants pulled it out over Denver. What a battle there. 19-16 to move to 10-2 atop the NFC East. Underway, Washington and Dallas will be going to that. Most of you will see it. Randy Wright continues at quarterback. Sore ankle and all. Complete. Lofton. Out of bounds. Good effort by Lofton. He could see the ball was going to be out of bounds. He would have to keep his feet in and reach over the sideline. Just couldn't do it.
And both officials signaled simultaneously, so they both saw it the same way. He's got the ball. Down comes the left foot was out. Both feet were out. He didn't have one foot in.
2nd and 10 from the 34 of the Packers. Wright 10 and 28, 148 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Hampton, Dent, 6 Bear sacks today.
What a day for Dan Hampton. 6 sacks today, and you can see they flushed Randy Wright out, and Hampton weighs a lot. Big man, and of course Wright has got that sprained ankle, but Hampton got him by the ankles, and down he went, and the Packers are in big trouble now.
3rd down, 18.
The Bears had 39 sacks coming into this game. The Packers had only 16 for the entire year. They did have 6 last week, so there's a big disparity in these two teams because of the sack situations as far as sacks are concerned. But Dan Hampton, what a game he's had.
2-minute warning has sounded. Bears lead by 2. The Bears and the Packers, a traditional battle. The Packers with the football down by 2, 3rd down and 18. They've lost Cannon, Epps, and Ellerson from the offense to injuries during the course of this game. And Epps is a weapon they could well use now. Stanley goes wide right, Ivory left. Almost picked off by Todd Bell. McMichael with a hit on the right as he released the ball. 4th down. 1:54 on the clock. The punting unit comes on. Green Bay will hope to stop the Bears and get the ball back. Now, bear in mind, they've been able to do that all afternoon against the Bears offense. Chicago has scored only 3 points offensively. The field goal by Butler.
And I don't believe the Packers have 3 timeouts, which is going to put them in a bigger bind. I think they're down to 2 timeouts.
Bracken just gets it away. Carey was the guy closest to it. Lou Barnes takes it out of bounds at the 24-yard line of Chicago. 53-yard punt. Wind aided for Bracken. Eagles up early on Seattle. The Seahawks have to be the disappointment of the entire NFL this year. Kansas City scoreless. 49ers with the early lead over Atlanta in that key battle in the NFC West, and the Rams up on top of New Orleans. Some of you will be seeing those games, and the rest of you, Dallas, Washington, except in Chicago. Tomczak leads out the Bears, trying to move to 10-2. Walter Payton. About a 5-yard pickup for Payton. Ryan Noble and Randy Scott.
First charge timeout. Correction. Second charge timeout. Green Bay.
So the Packers take their second timeout, and that gives us an opportunity to bring you an update on Dallas, Washington. Here's Brent Musburger.
All right, Tim, with a lot of folks headed in to watch this one, the Dallas Cowboys will be trying to dig out of a big hole. Schrader to Didier, 71 yards, and it is now 14-0, and the Skins are so tough at home. Let's go back to Tim Ryan.
The Redskins in Dallas. With the Redskins on top in a hurry. Didier, he is dangerous. He's got great speed for a big man, and you'll see Schrader go to him.
Well, Washington's so tough to beat on their home field. Really difficult to beat them.
They're a good football team. Their record is a legitimate record, 9-2.
Well, I think the Packers are going to have to try and start stripping that ball. Forget about the tackle so much as to try and jolt that ball loose, and I'm sure that's what they're thinking about. As Jim McMahon, shoulder didn't get any worse, but it certainly is not 100%, and that's going to be a factor in the rest of the Chicago Bears season. How well can he get by the time the playoffs come around?
Right. I don't care how good the defense is, and it's #1 in the NFL. I don't think you can win in the playoffs or certainly in the Super Bowl with defense alone. 2nd down and 6. Calvin Thomas gets about 3, maybe 4 yards. It'll leave 3rd down and another timeout called by Green Bay, trying to save some time on the clock.
Timeout, Green Bay.
1:26 remains, and the big play for Green Bay is next. They will have a 3rd and 3 to stop the Chicago Bears, get possession of the football, and leave themselves time to get close enough for winning points.
Goes to show you how important it is that when you call a timeout in the 3rd quarter for some kind of a mess up or whatever it is, it can end up costing you a football game. It makes a big difference in this game now, because the Packers could stop the clock with about 1:20 to go and then get it back and have some time. But now the Bears, I would think, would run the ball and let the clock just run and run and run and eat up another 30, 40 seconds. And by the time they punt to them, would be very little left on the clock for the Packers.
Well, that's a good point, Johnny, and yet they, again, with a young quarterback, inevitably you're going to have those kind of situations, especially against, he comes out and looks at all of this, jumping around defense, the Bears shows you, and he's in his own end, and he doesn't want to make a mistake, and so inevitably you're going to get the odd timeout call.
Do you think he's going to smile when this game is over?
Well, I noticed his gum-chewing tempo was down a little bit, so I guess he perceives that the odds are with him to win the game. Will he smile? Probably not, be my guess.
The Packers' best chance, if they do stop the Bears here on this 3rd down situation, may be Walter Stanley's ability on punt returns.
The Packers must stop them here.
That's it.
Calvin Thomas, 1st down to the 40-yard line. 1:13 and counting. The Bears can use it up. And we'll move to 10-2. But not prettily. And Mike Ditka got to be concerned. The role that has been placed on the defense to literally win the football game today is not a comfortable role when you get down to the big teams and the big games.
That's right. They can beat teams that are average teams. The Packers have to be in the average category, but when you start to play the New York Giants and the playoffs and the Bears in this situation, you just can't depend on the defense to do it for you when you get in that situation. So a lot of it's going to be depend on Jim McMahon, how his shoulder came out of this, whether they're going to try and rest him again or whether they're going to keep playing him at less than 100%. That's the key to the Chicago Bears season.
Well, great defensive work by both teams here today. A gritty display by the undermanned Green Bay Packers. Clearly not with the talent of Chicago, but getting themselves up. Charles Martin a little too much so. But otherwise, a tremendous effort by the Green Bay Packers, as you always can expect from them against the Bears. And it is all over. The Bears have clung, literally, to a 12-10 lead. Winning points put up by Kevin Butler after the defense had scored the first 9. And don't forget, next, most of you will see Dallas at Washington. Some of you will see one of the other 3 remaining games. For Johnny Morris, this is Tim Ryan saying so long from Soldier Field. The final score, 12-10 Chicago. CBS Sports coverage of the NFL continues after these words from your local station.